Hello, these are the notes for 1.1 integers and absolute value. And what I need you to do is to have your spiral notebook open to page 10, and you should have this handout. Now, if you didn't get the handout or if you're absent, you can always download the PDF document on my class website. It's going to be the same page that you found this video. You'll see a PDF file that you can print from home. And then you're going to need two colored pens. You're going to need a red pen or a blue pen, or just any two colors. You could use black and green, but I'm using blue and red. Now, in your notebook, you're going to be gluing this paper on the left side of your notebook, and on the right side is where we're going to put our homework. So don't write on the right side for our notes. I always want you to put on the left so that we're all consistent. Okay, it makes this tool, this notebook, a better resource if it's very organized. Now, if you notice the notes, I try to make the notes consistent for all my videos, and many times you're going to have to hand write these notes. I usually will split up the notes into 4 sections. So here I have my little lines going across, and I will start on the upper left side of the notes and then move to the right, and then I'll do the bottom 2. Now this box here is blank for a reason. Sometimes we'll do extra problems in class or a warm-up the next day, so leave it blank. So let's go ahead and get started with the notes on the upper left. Okay, so for the first box on the left, you're going to have some vocabulary words. And just so that you know, I need you to copy everything you see me do on this video onto your paper. That's how you get your full score, okay? So the first word here is integers. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers including 0. At the bottom, you'll see a number line at the bottom of this box, and these are all integers. Okay, positive and negative numbers including 0. Now let's take a look at absolute value. Absolute value is the distance a number is away from 0. So write the word distance in that blank. Now if I'm ever going too fast, please feel free to pause the video so you can stay caught up with me. Because if I go too fast and I'm way ahead of you, you will probably get confused. The second bullet here is that absolute value is always going to be positive. The reason why is because since it is distance, distance is always positive. And then the last bullet point is the symbol. Absolute value uses straight bars around a number to indicate that they want you to find the absolute value of that number. They're not parentheses. Parentheses are curved. Now for the third vocabulary word, we have opposites. Opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides. So for example, we have 5. The opposite, I'll draw an arrow to show the opposite of 5 is negative 5. So please write that down. On our number line, I'm going to use red to plot the 2 points. Here we have 5, and here we have negative 5. And notice they're both the same distance from 0. Now we're going to move to the second section of the notes on the top right. Here the directions tell us find the absolute value, then plot the point on the number line. So when you see this problem, problem A, it has the bars around negative 7. That is read as the absolute value of negative 7. So the absolute value of negative 7 is 7. And we don't put the absolute value bars around the 7. Once we solve it, the absolute value bars fall off. But I do want you to box your answers. I do that on homework as well because it's easier to grade. Okay, now at the bottom, we're going to plot that 7 on the number line. So here's 7. We're going to put a dot on it, and then above it, we're going to write the letter A. Now let's do the next problem, problem B. This is read as the absolute value of negative 1. So the answer to that is 1. Okay, so then we're going to box our answer, and then we're going to plot it at the bottom. On this number line, we have 1. We're going to put a dot out, positive 1, and we're going to label it B. For letter C, the problem says the absolute value of 3. So here the absolute value of 3 is 3 because it is 3 units away from 0. So write 3 on there, and then we're going to plot it on the number line. I'm going to put a 3 dot on 3, label it C. Okay, so for letter D, our last one, this one is a little bit different than the other 3. Okay, notice that on this one, the difference is that the negative sign is on the outside of the absolute value bar. So this is read as the opposite of the absolute value of -5. So with your red pen, I want you to write the words, take the opposite, and I want you to draw an arrow to that negative sign, okay? So for this problem, because the negative's on the outside of the absolute value bars, my answer is going to be a -5. Okay, and then we're going to plot that one on the number line, and that'll be the only point that's going to be on the negative side of the number line. So plot a point at -5, label it D. Let's take a look at the bottom 2 problems where it says to compare. And here when we're going to compare, we're just going to tell like if one is greater than the other or if they're equal to each other. We're going to write that symbol in this blank. So here this is read as absolute value of -2, and then this is a 1. Because this one has the bar, absolute value bars around it, we have to evaluate that. And we know that this equals 2. So go ahead and write that underneath that problem. And now after we compare those, now we can set, after we solve that, we can now compare it. So we have 2 and here we have a 1. Well, 2 is greater than 1, so we're going to write the greater than symbol and then we're going to box it. Now let's look at number 5. On number 5, we have -14, and on this side we have absolute value bars. Remember that when it's the negative is on the outside of the absolute value bars, that means you're going to take the opposite. So the absolute value of 3 is 3, but then the opposite is -3. So go ahead and write that underneath. And now we can compare the 2 integers. We have -14, -3. Because 14 is negative, that makes this a lot smaller than -3. So we're going to write that it is less than. And we box our answer. Now we're on the lower left side of the notes. So here for number 6, we're going to have that says the freezing point is the temperature in which a liquid becomes a solid. And here we have a table. We have a list of all these substances and the temperature in Celsius degrees of when it becomes a solid. So for part A, it says which substance has a lower freezing point. So the word lower means they want to know which one of these is the lowest, the least. So looking at these, we know that the negative numbers are the lowest, right? So the lowest of these negative numbers is going to be airplane fuel because that's the farthest to the left on the number line. Go ahead and write that in on your paper and then box your answer. And then for part B, it asks, is the freezing point of mercury or butter closer to the freezing point of water, which is 0 degrees Celsius? Okay, so which one's closer to the freezing point of water? Let's take a look. I'm going to circle actually both substances with my red pen. We have mercury. Okay, mercury's here at -39. And then we have butter at +35. So it's not asking us for the lowest freezing point, it's asking us for which one is closer to 0. So the one that's closer to 0 is butter. So we write butter in underneath and we box our answer. Now remember the 4th box we're going to leave blank for if we have extra problems the next class day or warm-ups, we'll put that on there. But that's all for your notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.